because this has been a really significant night for Ukraine and a good night for Ukraine. I've long been talking about how, well, first of all, the Ukrainians have been announcing that they are on a par with Russia in terms of production of attack drones. But I have been stating that we haven't seen wide-scale usage of these, such as the Shahed or Shahed equivalents that the Russians have used into Russia from the Ukrainians. We've seen Ukraine do some really significant strikes on oil refineries, on oil depots, and on some military facilities, production facilities within Russia. But they're usually just one facility attacked of a night, maybe two, sometimes three, but only with, say, one drone attacking here, a couple of drones attacking there, a few drones attacking there. And I've been saying I can't wait for this moment where Ukraine are able to hit Russia with significant numbers of attack drones like Russia have done to Ukraine in the past. So, for example, last night, Russia sent 20 drones into Ukraine. And that's a fairly standard night, right? There you go, there's 20 drones. When are Ukraine going to be able to go, right, here's an absolute ton of drones to keep Russia's air defense thinking and on their toes, and to strike significantly at Russian facilities of a wide range of type? Okay. Last night it happened really for the first time. And I think this is perhaps a really important point in the war. And I don't know whether I presume they've been stockpiling, right, these attack drones to do last night's attack. The question is, how often can they do these? We've looked at the Russians and seen like patterns in drone usage and work out what their production capabilities are. But if Ukraine are able to match Russia's attack drone production, and I imagine with the help of the West are surely able to surpass that. And they have so many different drone types that are coming online that I think you will be able to see this sort of attack from last night not fairly often, but more frequently than we see from the Russians. And here's the thing, with more effect. Russia is a huge country. It cannot defend adequately enough all the many, many, many sites within Russia that Ukraine could hit that would have utility for the Ukrainians. The Russians, like Ukraine is a big country, but there are only so many areas that the Russian drones can attack through. And as long as you have sensibly arranged air defenses, and we know that Ukraine is concentrating more and more on air defenses, and the interception rate for drones is exceptionally good and is improving. Where they're struggling with missiles due to interceptors and the Russian use of particular types of missiles, where the interception rate is going down for Russian missiles, it's going up for drones. And so we have a situation where Ukraine is better able to protect against drones than Russia is able to. And that appears to be going in both this direction for the Ukrainians, so they're getting better, and the Russians, I don't know. I wonder whether they're going to get worse. We haven't really tested it hugely, but I think their air defense capabilities are being degraded at the moment. So you look at what's happened in Crimea over the last week, and we've seen S-300 and S-400 batteries taken out and radars taken out. So it was no surprise that we saw Belbek Air Base get hit 2 nights in a row. And you wonder, why are you attacking the same place again the next night? Well, because you've taken out the air defenses the night before. So now the next night, there's still going to be useful things. It's not like they're going to get rid of everything. And that was hit the next night. And then the night after that, we've got a massive drone attack into Crimea. This is all connected. This is shaping. And then you're going to have F-16s turn up. And this is where I start getting a little bit positive. I don't want to get too carried away, but I start like piecing these things together. And you're thinking, right, there is a systematic approach here, and this is having good effect. And then last night, so the Russians sent 20 drones in to Ukraine, and all 20 drones were shot down. Okay, so that's a fairly typical night at the moment for the Ukrainians and Russians in terms of attacks into Ukraine. Now, Ukraine supposedly, and this is coming from the Russian authorities said they shot down 105 drones. So that's over 5 times what the Russians sent into Ukraine was sent out of Ukraine into Russia. Russians tend to lie about their success rate with drones. And Belbek Air Base 2 nights in a row, I mean, the claim was that they shot down all the ATACMS, and lo and behold, they lost a bunch of airframes and radars, and they didn't shoot down all the ATACMS. So we know that the Russians lie. So when they say they shot down 105 drones last night, they didn't. They just didn't. And we've got really good form for that. We've got good inductive reasoning to believe that they didn't. Okay, so then there are so many videos and whatnot coming out, filtering through at the moment. So Jenkiv says the Russians are witnessing history in the early hours today as Ukraine is becoming a drone superpower. So Novorossiysk, Crimea, Belgorod, Kursk regions all hit in different ways. There are lots of videos of drones doing their things here and there and everywhere. Explosions and all sorts. I'm going to pause that, move on. Why can't I? Oh, it's going to keep playing, isn't it? I don't know why this stupid Twitter does that, but there you go. Okay, so lots of videos coming through. Russian Ministry of Defense reported that they shot down 95 drones. So 105, 95, 44 of them over Crimea, 51 over Kuban. So Kuban, I think, is going to be your Krasnodar region. So you've got the Black Sea, you got north of the Black Sea is Crimea, and then Crimea goes across Kerch Strait, and that's into Krasnodar. And that's where we saw a lot of activity for the other drones, such as Novorossiysk. So not only have we seen Sevastopol get hit in Crimea, which is the traditional seat of the Black Sea Fleet, or at least over the recent 10 years, but also Novorossiysk, where the Black Sea Fleet has recently relocated. Okay, dozens of drones attacked Novorossiysk, Tuapse, which is on the coast of the Black Sea, on that eastern coast, and Sevastopol. In Tuapse, an oil refinery caught fire after the attack. In Crimea, the Sevastopol substation was hit. So, yeah, those are some of the targets in those two places. Russian proxies reported that drones target Sevastopol in a third attack this week. Again, Belbek, Sevastopol, or as alongside Belbek, of course, there were other strikes in Crimea. And the thing about these strikes that the Ukrainians are doing at the moment is we're not actually getting the full report about what's going on. We're getting a fraction of a sense. We're getting a sense of what's going on, but it's a fraction of the reality. And I wonder whether there's far more damage being done to places like Crimea or any strikes onto the Russians. I wonder whether there's more damage being done that we're being led to believe. The Russians, as mentioned, keep saying they shoot everything down, but the reality is, I'm certain the reality is that more things are getting blown up than we might know about. So dozens of drones and naval drones targeted Sevastopol and nearby Balaklava in the early hours of May the 17th. And we know that the night before there were naval drones that were used as well, causing partial blackouts, according to the occupation authorities. So there are blackouts in Sevastopol, which means, well, probably things like substations were hit. So who knew? The effects of the drone attack on occupied Crimea are being felt. An electricity substation and pumping stations are disabled in Sevastopol, leaving many without power and water. Trolley buses are at a standstill too, because they rely on that power. So Crimea being really affected by last night's attacks, and that's without really knowing an awful lot about what has taken place. Okay. So at night and in the early morning, so things have still been going on just now. There was a massive drone attack on several regions of Russia, says Special Kherson Cat. The main targets were Novorossiysk, 330 kilometers from the front line, Tuapse, 430 kilometers from the front line. Novorossiysk was the first to be attacked at approximately 3:15 in the morning local time, and that continued for 2.5 hours. The local claim about 33 to 35 explosions in total. Of course, that can be explosions in the air, explosions on the ground. Approximately 15 minutes after after that, reports started to appear about a drone attack on Tuapse. The oil refinery was under attack. Now, if you are going to have decent, well-functioning air defenses anywhere, you are going to have it around Novorossiysk. So that is the new. Here, if you look at the left-hand map, you've got Crimea, Sea of Azov up there, Black Sea in the main down here, and then you have the port of Novorossiysk, where the Black Sea Fleet is, and then Tuapse further to the southeast. Now, Novorossiysk will have the very best air defense I would imagine, in Russia, possibly outside of Moscow. I would have thought. I mean, that's where the Black Sea Fleet is now sort of hanging out. I can't think of very many places that should be better protected than that. because they are waiting for a night like last night. So if there were drones shot down successfully, it should be in Novorossiysk. That's my guess. Approximately 15 minutes after that, Tuapse was attacked, which is further down the coast. A number of objects were targeted in the Novorossiysk area. Preliminarily, it's known that there were strikes on Grushenaya Balka oil depot, Gazprom oil depot in Kirillovka, and the Mazutny terminal of the port of Novorossiysk. So a number of places getting hit around that port. Videos of the drone attack on Novorossiysk. So there are plenty of videos, and some definitely got through. Like there's a burning oil depot there. There's burning things in a number of places. Exactly what I guess we shall see. So Russian media, according to Anton Gerashenko, report the strike on Russian Novorossiysk, the seaport where the Russian Black Sea Fleet is based, an oil depot, a fuel oil terminal, and a Transneft facility. We're here. Locals reported hearing more than 30 explosions. Seaport is without electricity. So obviously electricity is being cut. There'll be some kind of substation. Public transportation is not working in Novorossiysk today, as well as local schools. Traffic has been closed on several streets. So I would imagine that drones definitely got through. They weren't all shut down. In fact, the imagery that is coming out is showing this. So you can see that oil depots in the background and very large, looks like electrical explosions as well in that right-hand video. I don't show you these too closely. You can go and watch these variously on Twitter. They're all over the shop. Novorossiysk, the moment a Ukrainian drone crashes directly into the oil depot, is filmed from the ground. The Russian air defenses seem completely overwhelmed. Oil depot getting hit, and that appears to go against the claim that all drones were blown up. And then the biggest Ukrainian air and surface drone attack in this war, says the Dead District. Fire in the 3 industrial sites of Novorossiysk are reported. So that's a mining site, Cementny Zavod, a metallurgy plant in Novorosmetal, and the cement factory at Cementy Zavod as well. So mining, cement, metal works. So not just oil and fuel depots. There seems to be a variety of targets for the Ukrainians there. Significant. Now, how much damage is done to each of these? We'll have to wait to see. It could just be that you got small explosions at a mining facility might not cause too much damage, or it might do. I don't know. A grain terminal at Novorossiysk possibly targeted as well. We have
Нихуя себе кабеля попорвало. Ебать, вот это прилетик. Так прилетик.
I presume that's damage to that.
Уебал.
To the grain terminal done there. So you can add grain terminal to that list of things that were hit. Michael McKay reports fires are burning at Novorossiysk, Russian Federation, after Ukrainian drone strikes. The port of Novorossiysk is without power. Many areas of Sevastopol, occupied Crimea, are in a blackout as well. What more? So this, I think, is quite interesting. This is blurred out due to OPSEC and whatnot, but this is a Russian person saying they blew up our port. They blew up our port right in. So let's go back. Actually, they blew up the port. The port. They blew up the port. She shouts, videoing something. They blew up our port right in front of me. They blew up the port. So here you can obviously understand that there's port infrastructure that you could, I assume, add to that. One more is coming. It's the 6th or 7th. She shouts, and then there's explosions. Expletive, that's in Kirillovka. It's not a expletive. Didn't really finish that. It's just kind of fairly shocked by everything that's going on, as you can imagine. Anyway, that's some kind of local testimony there to ports being struck for sure. And Ukraine. Then we move on. So that's Novorossiysk. So the port of Novorossiysk gets hammered, and it is certainly challenging for locals. And here we have then Tuapse, the oil refinery there, getting hit. So there's a strike on with a Lyuti drone. There's the twin-tailed drones you can see there, 150 kilometers an hour. I think that's traveling. So it's going at a fair brisk pace before it lands at the oil refinery in Tuapse. And then, so Ukrainian Lyuti long-range strike drones attacked oil refinery in Tuapse, Krasnodar Krai. And then you can see the explosion there. Then that causes the refinery to be on fire. And then there's another drone that strikes. And I think this is a bit of a, I don't know, it's a lost opportunity there. Because this drone, and I won't show it you anymore, so it's on fire here, and the drone appears to hit right where it's on fire, almost like it goes into the same explosion. And you'd think, well, why not hit like the Kraken Tower or whatever other bits of infrastructure? But it hits almost in the same place. So it might be that that was the main target, and they send several drones at there targeted that in case some of them most of them get shot down. You want at least one to get through to that one place, make sure that one place gets hit, and then that is hit. But then obviously if other drones aren't shot down, then multiple drones hit that same place. That could be what's happening. That's just my speculation there. I don't really know what I'm talking about, evidently. But that is Tuapse. So that refinery is hit further down the coast of the Black Sea. And then there's also evidence that Belgorod's been struck. So a gas station, petrol station, I believe, rather than some kind of refinery or anything. I think it's a petrol station properly on fire. There's actually better footage of it on fire than that. But Ukrainian drones also attacked Belgorod region overnight. Reportedly, a fuel station was hit. All sorts going on, and I'm sure much more detail will filter through as the day goes on. But I think this is I really do think this is a significant moment when you have a Ukrainian attack of that magnitude, and you're thinking this isn't the last you'll see like this. This is just the beginning. Like I've mentioned, we've seen individual refineries get hit with the odd one or two drones here, and that's caused enough problem. Well, if you're doing 105 drones like that, when you could do that much damage, you could take out 14% of the Russian oil refining capacity with a tenth of the drones that were shot, just on individual nights with a tenth of the drones that were shot last night. Now you're doing 10 times that in one night. I mean, think about what the potential is for the Ukrainians here. This, I think, will cause the Russians to majorly panic. I presume you're going to get some retribution for this. It'll be interesting to see what's announced throughout the day by the Russians, or they just sink it and ignore it as if it's business as usual and keep the information flow very, very small, so their own public don't really know what's going on, as in up in Moscow and St. Petersburg. Obviously, people in these local areas will, and that will spread like wildfire online. But it'd be interesting to see which way the Russians react to this. But I'm fairly sure there'll be some